Waggity swooty.
Coming for that booty. Okay.
Hold on. Okay. All right. How do I do this again?
I don't know.
Oh shit.
What do you know about rolling down in the deep?
When your brain goes numb, you call that mental freeze?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Enough talk. Let's do it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Finalhazard podcast. Holy shit! It's been so long since I've gotten the chance to say that.
It's been so long. It's been so long since I've got to sit in the recording session and hear that as well.
Yes, because you're a loser and you didn't finish Frontiers on time.
I kind of finished it.
Yeah.
I got to the end, and I was like, I don't want to play this anymore.
you didn't fight the fucking shoot 'em up thing?
No, dude, I didn't even get to the third boss. The third Titan.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. It was okay. I guess I can give my Actually, wait, we gotta do the intro. I'm Seth, if you don't remember who I am. Rapid fire my thoughts on Sonic Frontiers. It starts off, the game starts, and you're like, oh, this is bad. And then you get the first couple of like moves, and you're like, ooh, this is good. And then like the game kind of is good for like 6 hours and nothing is really happening. And I got bored. That's 6 hours. That's too short. Like I say I got like at least 12 in. Like I got to the third island.
It's about it's a 20-hour game.
The third island pissed me off. That's why I didn't want to play anymore.
I think that island is such a fucking like, because all of the bullshit 2D sections drags it down so fucking far. That I completely understand not wanting to fucking finish it.
I did go in and like watch all the cutscenes, and like I got all like the lore, because that's my Sonic niche.
Yeah.
So I did absorb all of what I wanted to absorb.
I mean, not everybody's like me who sat down the entirety of launch week and played it for hours upon hours on end. It was.
Or if you're like Ethan, you played it on stream with a mouse and keyboard.
We got him. I mean, you can watch those streams. The first one's pretty funny. But yeah. But today, what are we talking about? We're talking about a lot of things. But you know, usually I like to ease us in with breaking news. Yes, breaking news.
Bringing you the latest.
Yes. So breaking news. So Paramount Plus has finally dropped some details about the Knuckles movie, Knuckles show.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, the synopsis for the official synopsis that came from Paramount Plus for the Knuckles show is this is via Variety, by the way. Knuckles agrees to train Wade as his protege and teach him the ways of the Echidna Warrior. So if you don't know who the fuck Wade is, it's okay. Like, most of the communities that I've been in that fucking talked about this movie, about this synopsis, could not remember who Wade was.
He was the guy in the second one.
He's in the first one. He's in the first one as well.
Oh, that one too. And he's like, "Is that your dad?" But that was the one joke that he had. He's like Tom's like.
He's Tom's partner,
deputy,
like, protege, whatever the fuck. And he's like, he's really funny. He's like comedic relief, but I feel like the second movie has so much fucking plot going on that it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
That he just kind of falls to the wayside. So like putting him in like this like primary fucking like thing, this primary role is kind of weird.
It is weird considering the fact that Sonic 2, like, it had all its human stuff, right?
Yeah.
But Sonic 2 had, like, Knuckles and, like, the Death Egg Robot and Super Sonic and Tails and the Master Emerald and Chaos Emerald. And, like, it was so focused on, like, okay, now we are, like, we had our little pregame warm-up with Sonic 1, Sonic 2, we're finally actually going to get some Sonic stuff. So when there was a Knuckles show announcement, I was like, oh, what could that mean? Could it mean like Echidna lore? Could it mean like Knuckles is he gonna meet like Rouge the Bat or something? Are we gonna get like Knuckles like centric side characters like the Chaotix?
Yeah,
But
I think we theorized this on like episode 8 or something like that. When we first got the announcement about this.
Yeah, when we talked about it. But like, oh, we're having another like buddy cop, but this time it's with the side characters, like
kind of
story. And I'm sure I would have if Knuckles got a show, I would kind of want it to be about like just Knuckles and like Knuckles centric things from like canon.
Yeah.
No like offense to Adam Paley, the person who plays Wade or anything. But like I feel like after Sonic 2, like the human side characters would have kind of taken a more tertiary role.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're planning on doing. Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to have Wade kind of act as the audience surrogate.
Okay.
In a way. So like Knuckles is dropping all of this lore, or like he's teaching. Excuse me, I am sick, by the way. He's like teaching like Wade all of these things, and
Right.
like, for fans, we're gonna get like drops of like, oh, the fucking water monster drowned us all or some shit like that.
Well, in the Sonic movies, Knuckles is fucking tribe died because of the Sonic's owl mom.
Yeah, or like Longclaw murdered my whole family.
Yeah, that's it. That was the name.
And like we're getting like even like other intricate details that may not have been disclosed to us in the second movie. Or this might end up being Sonic 2 Squeakquel.
The Squeakquel?
This might end up being Sonic Squeakquel, yeah.
What does that entail?
A relevant human character takes the main role from the guy from the first movie and does nothing with it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay, like how in Alvin Chipmunks the Squeakquel, fucking Jason Lee was replaced. That's right.
Yeah, that's weird. He's such a weird.
He's replaced but still in the movie.
He's replaced but still in the movie, and then it's like, and then the fourth movie he's replaced but still in the movie.
Yeah.
And Theodore dies. Almost.
Why have you
ever been to Dave's party?
Why do we know so much about those movies?
You know why.
Yeah.
You know why. You ever been to Dave's party, dude?
I was at Dave's party.
You were at Dave's party?
I was at Dave's party and they were watching the Knuckles show. Actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they got it. They got early access from Paramount Plus because an executive was there. Yeah, they were. Their daughter was sleeping with Alvin, and yeah, you know how it goes. Anyway,
with the chipmunk dude, like he's like the size of my fucking hand.
Listen, like it's better if you just don't think about it. Anyway, yeah, the Knuckles show. So like I knew this. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Dude lost the plot. That's crazy. Dude lost the plot completely.
But yeah, I'm not entirely against the idea of the show existing. It's just like, what is it gonna be like? Kind of like a retread of the premise of the first one, or the first movie, you know, but just with Knuckles.
What's this guy do? I was trying to see like what this guy's done to like figure out like really what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, his IMDb thing does not tell me anything.
He looks like he's in a lot of like comedies.
Yeah, he's a comedy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how they're gonna handle that. But yeah, so anyway, what the actual topic of the episode. So this is gonna be like a little kind of like a spiel. And I'm not gonna like try to like so a few months back, or not even a few months, like literally last month, there was a tweet going around about Frontier's story.
Mm-hmm.
And the story goes in the tweet goes, I'm gonna read this tweet word for word. Frontier getting credited for finally having good Sonic writing done by a North American white male after years of Japanese men and women trying and failing. Yeah, that's probably not the reason, but now that I've said it, you may as well think about it. You're welcome. So this tweet has some connotations that I don't think OP meant to
No,
insinuate.
I think they meant to insinuate it, and I think it was sort of a rage bait tweet.
Really?
Yeah, like, because here's the thing, right? It's fundamentally like it's wrong, because here's why. When Sonic started having stories with like Adventure 1 and 2, Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, like 06, like there was like a time where that was like really fucking popular. Like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 go down and like Sonic history is like one of the iconic like storylines of the franchise, right? It introduced like Shadow and Chaos and the Echidna lore, blah blah blah. People ate it up. And
People
like
still
we
talk
got
about
it.
it.
Yeah, people still talk about it. And to be fair, yeah, we did get a few stinkers in there. We got like the Shadow the Hedgehog that kind of like has like a really confusing sort of like alternate timelines, like different pathways that none really connects to the true ending of that game.
Yeah, there's no like. I think that game suffers from just not having one true story.
Yeah. And then you have 06, which is a whole cavalcade of just development issues that
it's a bad Final Fantasy plot.
It's that, and also it was undercooked as like just as a product as a whole. But then you had like stories like Sonic Unleashed, which again people still talk about. You have Sonic and the Black Knight, which had a very like
had a very cult following, and it's
a very cult following. And its cult following even argues that it's some of the best writing in the franchise, right?
It has a very strong. I think where Black Knight and Frontiers succeed is having very strong character writing.
Exactly, right?
And so that's the thing.
But then you get to games like, Sonic Colors, which changed the writing staff from Sega of Japan to Sega of America, where they hired Ken Podtak and Warren Graff.
Yeah.
And Sonic Colors was people have things to say about it now, but Sonic Colors, when it came out, it was like, oh, this is like the nice, simple, like refreshing change of pace from like the big anime action fighting god storylines that we had been getting for so long. And like that was fine. It had some like upbeat jokes that people like pointed towards, like, oh, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, you remember that? Like there was a whole like kind of positive discussion about it. And then Generations came out and had no plot.
No plot, no story. Just
There was cutscenes and dialogue, but that was not a plot. And then Lost World came out, and Lost World is
it's tone deaf as fuck.
Is that and just like a nothing burger of a story. This just and like there's like idea like you had like the whole setup with like Tails like wanting to be jealous of Eggman, but that doesn't really make any sense to the characters, and the comedy aspect from Colors was just gone. It was just like dry, like nothing was funny. You had like this like 6 new characters introduced that were just boiled down to nothing but like the most basic archetypes of like the 7 deadly sins type villains. Like you had the fat one who ate food, you had the girl who was sassy and self-absorbed, you had the old one who was the old one, you know. It's like you had all of these characters that weren't characters and that nobody cared for.
They tried.
And then Sonic Boom happened, and Sonic Boom isn't a narrative, it's a comedy, so you know that on that front they weren't even trying. Or they weren't.
They did some weird characterization. They did some characterization things that like kind of like melded into the main series, like with how characters were written from then on, but like never really stuck.
And then you had Sonic Forces,
and where it's just not that story is barely anything.
Where it has the Sonic Generations problem of just being like a nothing. It's a nothing burger, or it even has the Lost World problem where it like doesn't really.
It tries to have ideas, but the people who are writing the story, or rather in this case, translated the story, didn't know how to properly adapt those ideas out in a serious way or in the way that they should have been adapted.
Right. So then you get to Frontiers, right? And Ian Flynn, Archie Sonic Writer, IDW Sonic Writer, been with these characters, developing them for like 20 years or whatever at this point. He finally writes the game, and it's chock full of like really interesting in-character dialogue. It's pushing these characters in new directions that we never thought we'd see them go in before. It's dropping lore. It's making references to old lore. It's finally like it finally feels like we're moving on from like the very stagnant stuff that the American writing team was doing. And that's where it circles back to this tweet that says that after so many attempts from the Japanese team, or whatever it says, it's just wrong. People liked Sonic stories when they were like weird in Japanese and anime.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until like they got like North American white guy writers with their North American middle-aged white guy humor that people were like, this is bad.
This isn't for me either. Like I think because there was also just like there's just also a lot of things circling around like just the franchise in general. There was just a lot because we were in that weird self-deprecating meta era, or whatever they call it nowadays.
The meta era.
The meta era, and then like we just could not escape from it. We could not escape from like Sonic. We just wanted Sonic. I think what a lot of people just wanted, and I think the sentiment was like fucking words. The sentiment was really felt when we got like those like early story trailers and stuff, and like those cutscene reveals during like the release, and it was like, yo, this is finally what we wanted Sonic to be like. We wanted Sonic to take himself seriously for once, because like I feel like that's what the issue has been.
Yeah,
is that Sonic took itself so seriously for such a long time when and we were in like a time period, like in a frame of like time where they were not taking themselves seriously.
Yeah, I know back in like the Sonic Adventure, like pre-meta era, like time, right? It was a weird time for like nerd culture and like that kind of stuff, right? Because you had video games, specifically like JRPGs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For some bizarre reason, like critically, those storylines were always like by critics panned and like regarded as like lesser forms of like storytelling than
Yeah.
like I don't know, whatever Call of Duty or Halo was out.
Games weren't really. Games still really weren't telling stories.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I
It was
also like.
only.
No, go ahead.
It was only really those JRPGs that were trying to tell narratives.
Mhm.
So like, it is not, and then like, you don't really have much. I think it's like that PS1 era with like Final Fantasy
Right.
7 and 8, where you finally get these games that are these like JRPGs that are like finally being like seen and like accepted.
Mhm.
And I think it's also because like, they kind of let them rock.
Yeah.
Like Sony let Square Enix like actually like release their games the way they were intended to be.
Yeah.
Like
I also kind of wanted to interject, like around this time, it was different for like things like comic books and like anime, to like those things. It's
mhm.
not like now where they're mainstream. Back in
they were
like that
still
time,
niche.
they were niche and like borderline uncool to like. So when Sonic was framing its storylines around like these very like anime comic book esque like stories to general audiences, to people or critics who didn't necessarily like jive with that stuff, they thought it was dumb and ridiculous, and Sega fell into that pressure, right? And that's why we got like the meta era. But meta era is also an accumulation of just like
The
2010s internet culture where everything had to be like ironic. Like this was peak cringe culture era.
Mm.
So Sonic had to it felt like it had to be itself, but ironically, like, oh, isn't
Yeah.
this like weird? But now as we enter like the late 2010s, the early 2020s, we're seeing this like shift, because now that like these types of storylines are being more like consumed publicly, like the MCU blew up,
Mhm.
anime blow up. It's even bigger now than it ever was before.
Because all these things have become more accessible for
Mhm.
sure.
So you have Ian Flynn, who is always a fan of like those older like way of telling like Sonic stories and like other wackier forms of storytelling, where he's gonna come in with Sonic Frontiers, and it's gonna be like I almost want to call it post meta, where the Sonic franchise knows that it's ridiculous and silly. It's a blue hedgehog that fights robots and a talking
And
Eggman.
gods fights robots, gods, and
But
other extra dimensional beings.
whereas like the old style of that was like, this is serious, we're taking this 100% seriously. Then you had the meta era, was like Sonic, but ironically. I think now we're kind of in this like, Sonic knows it's ridiculous, but because it knows it's ridiculous, it thinks, or not because it knows, it takes its ridiculousness and treats it as if it's cool. Like, oh hell yeah, Sonic's gonna fight like monsters and gods and mecha. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like it's earnest. Its earnestness has returned, which I think is what really made Frontiers stand out to a lot of people. Not because an American guy wrote it.
Yeah,
Like,
I read that tweet, and I think like I think like the collective sentiment was, wow, this is really xenophobic. But what my takeaway from it was, I was like, I understand that this is fucking wrong, but I can kind of see what they're trying to say in the sense of like, okay, so all of these games before it had these weird shortcomings,
right.
or whatever, and they weren't able to stack up to like those more successful stories. So like, what did Frontiers do so differently that made it like, you know, the way it is?
Right.
And I just think that like Ian Flynn grew up with Adventure 1, Adventure 2, grew up with those like those early Archie stories from like the late 90s, from like the late 90s to the early 2000s by Ken Penders, and was like, yo, this shit right here, that's how you tell a Sonic story.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. Like, say what you want about Ken Penders, but like, I still think he's still like the blueprint for what like a good Sonic story can be.
Ken Penders Ken Penders, when he started off, like in those earliest of issues, they're weird, but they're not like straight up bad like they eventually got later, you know.
I think like what like there's a lot of things that I thought were missing, and it was like, you mentioned like the whole thing with Tails and Eggman and Lost World.
Yeah.
One of the things that was missing from Sonic for a long time was the interpersonal relationships and connections between the characters.
Yeah.
Like, how does Tails feel about Eggman? Like, we have a good idea of how he feels, because he told Eggman, "Yo, I'll never forgive you for fucking blowing up Sonic that one time, even though you didn't really blow him up, but like, I still saw him blow up, bro." So
for a while, though, it felt like Tails only disliked Eggman because he's on the good guy side and Eggman is on the bad guy side.
They tried to build something, but disregarded everything that came before, which is the biggest problem. Which is the biggest problem about like a lot of those Sonic stories, is that they don't address things that happened before. They don't address the before.
Exactly. And I feel like during the meta era they were too embarrassed to do that.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, that game wasn't well received, so we're just never going to acknowledge it ever again. Or, you know, like, oh, this game is a meme, so therefore people don't take it seriously, so therefore don't mention it. But like with Frontiers, you had like the egg memos that reference like pretty much everything. Like, you have Ian Flynn who he may not even fucking like 06 or Shadow the Hedgehog or the Black Arms, but he, as a writer and longtime fan of the series, knows that a lot of people do, and that, you know, keeping the lore consistent, whether or not he likes it or not, is important, you know? That's why he like included all that stuff. Or I guess why Sega let him include it.
I don't know. There's just like, when we talk about like those interpersonal relationships and stuff, like, I think Frontiers is just entirely focused on rebuilding those relationships and exploring them and how they evolve and how they could evolve when you take everything that has come out, because especially with this new approach to Sonic, you know, like, everything that has fucking happened. We're gonna reference it. We're gonna fucking talk about it. Everything that's coming out right now is connected, even though it doesn't really make sense all the time. But yeah, like, Like fucking Prime doesn't make any sense. Yet. I haven't watched enough of Prime to like
I think that
out
show
where it
is.
makes sense.
I think that show is like kind of like IDW, where it like is his own thing, but it's a branch of the main canon.
We just
Like if
gotta.
every,
Oh, yeah, we just gotta wait for them to start bringing up the Paradox Prism, bro.
I don't know what that is.
And then
I didn't watch that show.
oh, it's the MacGuffin.
Mm.
Yeah, they just gotta bring up the Paradox Prism in the Sonic Frontiers DLC, and we'll know. And we'll know for sure.
Sage is like, the Paradox Prism is appeared in the islands. We gotta go find it.
No
And then,
way.
and then it's yet another collectible.
Yep.
I don't know. I think the direction Sonic like is going in terms of like tone and storytelling, and bringing in that like awareness but also earnestness is good. And I think now that Sega has confirmed to put together Tyson Hess, Evan Stanley, Ian Flynn as like the lore writing team, I think we're the future of Sonic is in good hands.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Sorry, I just had a fucking cough attack.
Oh,
Yeah.
the coughing demons got you.
Yeah. But we're at a point where the fucking franchise is finally we're finally cooking.
Mm-hmm. It's letting
Um
itself be in the kitchen for a little bit.
yeah, and that's what makes me very happy about like the whole DLC, and what, like, say what you want about it, but I am very glad that the DLC is coming out slowly. It's not all coming
Right.
out at once. It's like taking its time to drop.
It's letting the game like be alive. Like there's like a lifespan for this game.
Yeah, because I'm very excited to see. Sorry. I'm very excited to see the new campaign shit, and like finally getting new playable characters after getting to play as Sonic's friends for the first time in like 30, not even like 15 years. So that's pretty cool. It's been a while.
Yeah. I hope that's like not relegated to just like the cyber space worlds. I
That would
hope we
be
can play as them
so
in like
dumb.
I hope we can play as
Yeah.
them in like the overworld and fight all the enemies and
Yeah.
stuff.
I
Do
think
we know if any of the DLC has story content for the characters
we
or
haven't they they did I don't think they said anything. I think there is though.
Hmm.
I think that it
That's
is.
right. Is it gonna have to be like a we're going back to the island situation? Because they do leave at the end of the game. Or I wonder if it's like
Or maybe it's like a
I don't
weird
know.
maybe it'll be like a kind of weird like in between.
Right. Like before the finale sort of thing.
Yeah. But who knows? Who knows?
I don't know.
Or they could do the fucking Kingdom Hearts 3 the Kingdom Hearts 3 tech and make the DLC happen after the end of the game.
Hmm.
And then it's just putting you through the end of the game again. Because that's what happened. It's like super boss rush.
That could be pretty fun.
Yeah. I'm glad they finally gave us like a boss rush mode.
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yeah.
Because before there was absolutely no way you could replay those,
Yeah.
which sucked. Because they're the best part of the game.
Exactly. Because we won't back down. Yeah. No, but there's just a lot. I think the storytelling is hitting different. Storytelling been hitting different, and I'm hoping that it I haven't read IDW properly in a few months. So like I don't know what's going on over there, but yeah. I wonder if they're gonna get cooking.
It'd be interesting if like some Frontiers stuff started to seep in, and like
I think we're not gonna see that until like next year.
possibly, because I feel like the comic is still very forces based.
Yeah.
And I think it would be a nice change of pace if we started integrating more like newer stuff into the comic. We of course we're getting new stuff, right? We're getting like a bunch of new characters, new storylines, but like I mean more like modern like game stuff.
Yeah, we just we gotta get out of that space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we gotta get out of that forces space. I think we're getting closer, but who knows? Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Only time will tell.
Yes, sir. No, but super forms for bringing back finally giving everybody super forms, specifically Amy.
That's not gonna happen.
It needs to happen.
That's not.
It needs to happen.
Though that would be cool. That'd be a lot of money though to make. Like you got to make new models and like new animations for like their super fighting like attacks. I don't know if they would do that for a free DLC.
Who knows?
But what do you say? What do you say before we wrap up? Do you have any last closing thoughts about like Sonic storytelling?
No. I think that Sonic storytelling is finally in a good spot.
Exactly.
Just don't give Charmy the brain damage again, please.
Well, he doesn't. He
Just
doesn't need me.
just don't
No.
do it again. Just don't do it again, please.
There's no point. He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it. Just don't do it again, man. Don't do it again, please. I beg of you. And also, we don't want to know who fucked who. We don't want to know, bro.
What?
That shit's crazy. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Fucking Ken Pen.
Oh, like
fucking Sally's shitty. It's the funniest shit I've ever fucking seen in my entire life.
Sonic might be the fastest thing alive, but Jeffrey St. John was quicker to the draw.
Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Come on, bro.
I think we've kind of lost the plot, though.
Yeah.
I think it's time.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for listening in on this very this shorter than usual, but this a little more chill Final Hazard. We'll see you. We'll see you next month for our next episode, or even maybe later this month. Who knows? Who knows? You may get 2 episodes this month because we missed because we missed February, and
we were all too busy. You know, like it was February. It was Valentine's Day. We were all with our lovers.
You better shut your ass up.
I know.
Not me personally. No, I'm joking. I'm lying. I'm capping. But yeah, guys.
Bro, do the call to action.
We'll catch you on the next one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Do all that good shit. Follow us on our social media platforms and join our Discord server. Links are in the description. Mm-hmm.
We got plenty of different series like UA Anime Club and Lightspeed Flash, so go check those out if you want. And of course, as always, we'll see you next adventure.
Shabu.
Ta-dum.
And